Greetings, everybody. It's January 29th. Time for our Thursday chill. Welcome to all the people who are already here. You can see you in the comments. Louisiana, South Georgia, Oklahoma, someone from NOLA, in Chicago, Ypsilanti, Michigan, Atlanta. I spent some time in Atlanta. Nice place. Mount Shasta. I love Mount Shasta. Someone's asking about enabling closed caption. It should be enabled. Let me see. Is there something I can do? Or just closed captioning not, you know what? Maybe it doesn't work with live. Well, someone tell me. Oregon, South Georgia. I know that when the recording comes out, then it does have the captioning, but I don't know if it does it live. So someone can tell me if you know. Huntsville, Alabama, Stockton, California, Santa Fe, Seattle, New Jersey. Welcome, everybody. If there's a mod here who knows how to do that, if it's possible, go ahead. But I don't know if it's possible with a live. I'm just saying. We've already got a gift. It's not Jamie. Thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it. So today, I'm going to lead. We're going to do a meditation. You know, Evie, is my mod Evie here? Evie is always telling me to do meditations because I used to do them a lot in my lives. And I hope she's here because I'm going to do one today. Yeah, so someone just confirmed you can't have captions with lives. I think because they can't do it fast enough, you know. But the captions will be there in the recording. So once we're done with the live, there'll be a recording. You go to my channel and you click the live tab to get to my live recordings. And that's how you find it. And then it'll have captioning. So today we're going to do a meditation like the good old times. And then I want to talk about the role of the light worker, and I want to talk about what my guides have been saying in general. And yeah, so we just got a confirmation from Brooke B saying that yes, the captions work with the recordings every time. Yeah, that's important. I use captions when I watch TV. So yeah, the captions are always there, just not while we're live. We got Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, Sister Canada. Christine Ever. Got Vermont in the house. Abbott, Maine. Fort Lauderdale. Pittsburgh. Welcome, everybody. We got another Canadian here. Pittsburgh. Tucker, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Dothan, Alabama. Isn't it wonderful how we can gather from all over the place? It's Missouri, got Kansas City, Missouri. So yeah, so I think we're gonna start with a meditation, and then I'll talk more about these other things and look at the questions. There's 233 in here. I probably shouldn't start the meditation quite yet because there's so many people that are coming in that maybe I'll just talk for a while and then we'll do the meditation in about 10 minutes so that we give people a chance to come and it's not so, coming and going. Although maybe it's always like that. I don't know. But usually it takes me like the first 10, 15 minutes before we have kind of a critical mass. And then we got Northern California, Minneapolis. Hey, Minneapolis. Woohoo. Kissimmee, Florida. Bunch of Ontarians here, someone said. Another Canadian from BC. I love BC. I've done some keynotes in BC up at, let's see, University of Northern British Columbia. I think that's the name of the university, one of the universities I spoke at. It's been a while, so I might be getting that wrong. And then at University of Alberta, and yeah, I think those are the two. And I think those are both in British Columbia, right? Do I have that right? I've also been to the other side. I've also been to Montreal. I've also been to Toronto. But I did my public speaking in British Columbia on the West Coast. Okay, so so somebody said, yeah, I missed your meditations from classes. Oh, you were in my medical mediumship class. Oh, nice. Yeah, I might be teaching, I teach for people who don't know, I teach for the Shift Network sometimes. Usually I teach a couple classes for them a year, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to teach for them this year or what I'm going to teach. And so maybe I'll ask that today. Like, you guys can let me know in the comments what kind of class you would want to take from me if I were to teach a class for the Shift Network. I've taught a lot of things for them. My favorite thing to teach is medical intuition. But I've also taught mediumship, psychic development, medical mediumship, medical mysticism. Someone said I got the university names right. Yay. Yeah, so those are the two universities I spoke at. There might be a third. Yeah. I have a vague memory of a third one. But yeah, one of them was really far north. Like, I had to get on one of those little planes. You know those little planes where the windows are like saran wrap and they're just flapping in the wind? And everyone claps when you land safely. Yeah, it was one of those small little planes way up north that I gave a keynote at maybe a conference, or I was invited to speak. Can't remember exactly. But hello, everybody, South Dakota. So I'm gonna lead a meditation shortly. But before I do, let's talk a little bit about the role of the light worker and the importance of the light grid. So, many years ago, I had a mentor of mine. She was a healer, a medium, a therapist, and she was helping me to get better at channeling my guides. And she said to me, "Oh, you're a light worker." And I was like, "What? What is that?" And I had not heard that word before, and I didn't know what it meant. And I just kind of was like, okay, whatever. Some people have a lot of funny names for things. And so sometimes when I hear people say things, I'm just like, okay, whatever, that's one of your words. And, but then I was working with my guides, and they had me connect to the light grid on planet Earth. And they told me that, my job was to help all the lights connect on planet Earth. And then I had a light bulb go on and say, oh, that's what she meant by light worker. I just didn't know what that word meant. And so there are some people, some souls on planet Earth who have a job that's related to the grid of light on the planet. And some of us are aware of it and others are not. And you can be a light worker and not be aware that you are, because for one, maybe you don't know that word. Like I said, when I first heard it, I was like, that's a weird word, whatever. Maybe you use a different word in your culture. Or maybe you don't have a word for what you do. But you may, and you may be doing it on the astral plane and you're not aware of it. So like some of us, we do work on the other side. Like at night, we leave our bodies and we go to the astral realm or the akashic realm. There's different names for that too. The Milky Way, and everybody, their body, these other planes of existence. And depending on what kind of soul you are, you may just be floating around your body at night. You may go visit the lower astral and visit with your relatives. You might go to another plane where you go to spirit school. You might but you might be a teacher, you might be teaching in spirit school, you might be a helper who's helping people on planet Earth while you're on the other side. And it could be that you're doing work with the light grid at night when you're sleeping, but you're not remembering it when you wake up. So we have a question, and I'm talking about this, and it's going to lead us into the meditation that I'm going to lead you in. So here's a question from Love Equals Answer. I love that, because love is the answer. It's the answer to every question. Dr. Vess, what is meant by the light grid? So the light grid is, you can think of it as like a network of lights, or a grid. If you've ever seen a grid, like a map, if you've ever seen a map and it's broken up into grids, like it's got horizontal and vertical lines, that's a grid. So if you imagine the earth covered with this grid, and then where all those little lines meet, there's a light. And so all of these lights are connected in a grid-like fashion. So like you can think of a fishing net where there's a light at the corner of every square in the fishing net. That's what it looks like. And all of those lights are connected to people. But it's not just like one person, one light. It's one person, one light, and then that person is connected to other people. And then together they create a light, right? And then that light is connected to other lights. And then the light grid is also connected to Mother Earth. And so it's connected to Mother Earth's aura. And so it's not just about humans. It's about our energy connected to Mother Earth energy. And so Mother Earth, she's a conscious being. She has her own aura, her own soul. And then we all have our little auras and our little souls. And when we all work together and unify our lights, we're able to shift the vibration of the planet up. River Wilding says you can think of it as nodes of light. And each light is a person or a group of persons. Someone else, there's lots of great descriptions here. Oh, I missed that one. Where'd it go? Let me put my glasses on. There was just another description I was going to add from the comments. So you can also think of it as a healing grid. So we can meditate. We're going to meditate to connect to the earth grid. To connect the earth grid to the... so Crystalline Mirrors is trying to connect the earth grid to the Lemurian grid. Okay, it's above my pay grade. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but we're not going to do all that. We're just going to connect each of us to the grid. You can receive healing from the light grid. You can send healing. This person said, I just found out, Miss Ari said, I just found out I'm a light worker. And so if someone tells you you're a light worker, like that person told me, someone's trying to get me to come to Casadega. So I lived in Casadega for 5 years, and I did some of my training there. And I would love to go back to Casadega for a long weekend. That probably wasn't a conversation for me. It was probably for someone else. Okay, so Toaster said, I didn't know that's what the lines and nodes are called. So, I mean, it's one thing you can call it. So there's different traditions that have different ways of describing this. And, I'm a teacher, so I like to keep things simple, right? Because that's my path. My path is to help people understand things and to make things accessible. And so I'm not going to talk about things in a certain way that other teachers might, or that I might in a class of people who are very advanced. I know in this live, there's a wide variety of people. Some of you are very advanced. Some of you are beginners. Some of you are advanced souls. Some of, we're a mix of people here, right? So we're not going to make any assumptions about who knows what. But I like to keep it simple. So you can just think of it as this fishing net around planet Earth. And so what I was told, all I can really speak to, right, is what I was told. And of course I read a lot of books too, but I think it's good when people speak from their own experience, right? So my experience is that I'm one of the people that's trying to get this whole network connected. So like I was shown over the last, let me think, how long ago was that? Every once in a while, my guides, they show me different things. And one of the things that they showed me was that like for the last several years, they'll give me updates on the light grid and they'll show me where how well connected we are. And we're not fully connected yet. Like there are patches that are not connected. And I remember during the pandemic, my guides kept showing me the light grid and they told me that the light grid was getting more connected because I think because we were all staying home and we were kind of up leveling at home, right? We were out of the rat race. We were, baking bread and connecting with people and doing puzzles and adopting dogs, and people were just up leveling and as a result, and nature was able to kind of come back and recover from everything that we do to it. And so a lot of animals and plants were flourishing and the grid was getting fuller and I was being shown, there's more lights. And lately too, I'm seeing, maybe like 6 months ago, whatever, they were showing me the light grid is more and more filled in. So, we're doing the work. And so there are some people you might hear them say, I'm one of the people anchoring the light. Okay. Now, even though I do this work, I don't really talk about that a lot. I don't go around saying, I'm a light worker. I'm anchoring the light. I don't really talk about it that much because there really isn't a need. Only reason I'm talking about it today is because I want to lead you in a meditation and I'm trying to give you some context for the meditation. But it's the kind of work that, it doesn't really require it doesn't require talking. It doesn't require physical doing on the earth plane. We do it all energetically. And you can do it, like I said, at night when you leave your body. You can do it in meditation. You can kind of keep trying to, kind of strengthen the light grid. Now, one of the ways that the light grid gets stronger is that people wake up, right? And what does wake up mean? It means people get connected to their higher self. They get connected to their true purpose. They remember who they are. And that's like a light turning on, right? So you can think of it that way, that when people wake up to their divine origin, it's like their light goes on. And so there are areas of planet Earth where if you look at it, if you're someone who can go out of your body and look at the earth and look at the lights, you'll see that some areas are dark. And because those people are not aware that they are spiritual beings. It might be places where people are heavily oppressed or suffering, or they're struggling to survive, or they've just been taught that they're physical only, right? And so if you're a healer or a light worker or intuitive and you want to contribute to the light grid, one of the ways we do that is just by helping the people around us to wake up to their true selves. All right. So if you can get the people around you to remember who they are, remember that they're spirits having a physical incarnation, remember that they came here for a purpose, remember that they're connected to something bigger, that they're bigger and better than their physical self, that this is a personality, right? We're incarnating. Like right now, I'm Jennifer Lisa, but my true self is much bigger than Jennifer Lisa. And Jennifer Lisa is just one of my incarnations, and I have lots of other incarnations. And when you're aware of that, then it gives you a different perspective about life, right? We have to live our lives in the physical. We can't escape that. That's who we are. That's who we chose to be. The physical is really important. We came here to do something in the physical. But if we can do things in the physical, but simultaneously remember that we are something bigger than the physical, then it really can help you when you're on planet Earth to really be a beneficial presence, right? So the more of a beneficial presence you are, the more you help the people around you, the more you sometimes we're just examples, right? Sometimes the best way to teach is just by example. Like if you walk around and you're a really good person and you're very kind, people watch you, and then some people are going to look at you and say, I should be more like that, right? Like you don't have to tell them you should be more like me. You just walk around being your generous, kind self, and then other people are influenced by you, right? Or you are the person that forgives, and then other people see you forgiving, and they think to themselves, oh, maybe I should be more forgiving, right? Or maybe you came here to demonstrate so the ability to overcome adversity, right? Some of us go through a lot of adversity, and then we do it with grace, or we do it and we don't give up, or we don't let it turn us into mean people or angry, just like jaded people. And then the people around us see that and they say, well, if she could go through everything she went through and still be a nice person, still do what she has to do to take care of the people in her life or take care of herself or whatever, do her job, whatever she came to do, then maybe I can overcome the adversity in my life, right? And so there's so many ways for us to shine our light and then demonstrate to others ways they could shine their light. And then we can help others to remember that they are a light, right? So there's a lot of people who they don't remember that they're a light, right? They think of themselves as something else, just a physical being struggling through a difficult life. And they forget that they're a light. I was shown all the lights when I was quite young, but it takes a while sometimes to figure out, to connect all the dots, literally and figuratively, right? And I remember being shown planet Earth. So I used to leave my body at night. I had these spirit teachers, and they would come and get me out of my bed and out of my body. And then they would take me on adventures and take me to spirit school. And I remember they used to take me out into space, and we could look back at planet Earth and see that it was all these little lights, like a Christmas tree. And they told me, oh, all those lights are souls. And then they showed me how some of the souls were sending out like prayers, and they were the mothers. They were telling me that the mothers' prayers were the most powerful prayers on planet Earth because of the intense love that mothers have for their children. And I remember that lesson very well. I got a lot of lessons, but some of them just stick with you, right? But we're all these little lights. And so anytime we can help the people around us to remember that they're lights and help them to kind of wake up and turn on their light, then that's helping the whole grid. That's helping the whole grid of lights around planet Earth. And that whole grid of lights, when it's coordinated and unified, then that's our ability to kind of up level our energy, right? And so that's what the light workers are doing. That's what and there's different names for them, but like there's medicine people and a lot of different traditions who've been doing this work for generations of trying to help people to wake up to their light. And then also some people are explicitly trying to help to connect the lights. And you might be doing it just locally, like in your little area. And you might be doing it through your meditations where you're trying to, connect to the light grid. So we're going to do a meditation, and I'm distracted by all the questions. Okay, so let's do our meditation. And normally I would have music playing if I was in a class, but because I can't play music on here without, the copyright infringement. So we're going to do a silent meditation where I'm going to guide you. But if you want to play music and you're wherever you are, you can do that. You could play it in your room in the background, right? You don't need me to play it. You can put your own music on. And so we're going to do, I think something just got delivered. We're going to do a short meditation to connect to our higher selves and then to connect to the light grid. And so I'm just going to ask first that you just stretch and yawn. Yawning is very relaxing for the body. And just wiggle around and get all the wiggles out. And get into a comfortable position. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes and begin to take some nice deep breaths, breathing slowly and deeply, deeply and slowly. And let's begin to breathe to the count of 3, inhaling 1, 2, 3. Hold it. And then exhale 1, 2, 3. And just continue breathing slowly and deeply. And now imagine, if you will, that with each inhale, you are inhaling relaxing blue light. And the blue light is healing as it moves through your body, healing and relaxing every part of your body. Now imagine, if you will, that with each exhale, you are exhaling gray smoke. And that gray smoke represents any stress or energetic debris from your day, anything you need to release. Inhaling, relaxing blue light. Exhaling, gray smoke. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply. Now place your attention on the crown of your head, on the top of your head, and notice there is a wonderful tingling sensation, a circle of vibration on the top of your head. And as you focus your attention on the top of your head, the tingling circle of bright white light begins to grow up, up, up into a cylinder of bright white light. And that cylinder grows up, up, up into the air, 2 feet, 3 feet into the air, until you connect it to a giant golden sun. And you recognize this golden sun, for this is your higher self, your origin, your source. And as you connect your cylinder of bright white light to the golden sun, you begin to charge up. Charge up. All of that divine source light begins to move down into the crown of your head, and it moves down through your body, spinning and expanding each chakra, down and around, until you find yourself encased in a bubble of beautiful light, golden light. Inside this bubble of light, you are protected and you are expanded. You begin to expand this bubble out, your aura, until it fills the whole room, continuing to receive divine source light through the crown, down, through, and around you. An infinite source of energy is available. And you notice that as this light moves through you and around you, you feel bigger and brighter and bolder, powerful and expanded. You are a giant ball of rainbow light. Just marinate in that light for a moment and enjoy how that feels to be so big and bold and bright. And now that you are in your expanded state, you are ready to go on a journey. You begin to float. Float up. Float up into the air, your giant bubble of light. Up, up in the air, above the room, above the house. Maybe you can see it. Maybe you can feel it. Just trust that you are floating up, up, light as a feather, above the treetops. You might hear the rustling of the trees, the wind or the snow or the rain. You might hear it as you float up above it all. The sound of your town, the traffic, the sensation of the wind. However you experience it, you continue to float up, feeling light and bright and free. Continuing to float up above the trees, up above the clouds. Float up, up, up and away in your light bubble of light, feeling free and weightless. And just enjoy how that feels. Happy and free. Floating skyward, higher and higher. And we are flying so high now that you can look down or feel down. And you are aware that Mother Earth is below you. You can see or sense or know that Mother Earth is below you. And you are floating high, high above the planet. And as you look around, you notice that there are many other floating lights around you. Lots of bubbles, bright lights floating nearby. And if you look around and sense the bubbles around you, the other lights, you may recognize some of them. There might be relatives or pets, living or deceased, that you are aware of as balls of light nearby. And you can connect with them just by thinking, sending out a little energy, a little love, a little light. And just notice how many other balls of light are sending you love. Now shift your attention to Mother Earth again, floating closer. And shift your awareness slightly until you begin to see all of the lights on Mother Earth, the network of lights, the fishing net, the grid of lights, twinkling here and there and everywhere. And just allow yourself to see or feel, become aware of these lights. And just take a moment to notice the lights, where they're the brightest, where the dimmest. And now, like fishers, let us mend this light. Look for a spot in the grid where the light is not light enough, where there's a dimness or a hole in the net of lights. And begin now to send light to any spot in the net that needs mending. You are connected to an infinite supply of light through your crown, connecting you to your higher self. It is flowing to you constantly. You cannot be depleted. So channel that light now, a little bit of it, into the grid of lights, strengthening and augmenting the lights that are already there. Plugging yourself into the grid like a light bright bulb. As you connect into the light grid, feel yourself now not only sending but receiving light. Feel yourself expanding in the grid, connecting, growing, strengthening in the grid. As your light strengthens the grid strengthens your light. You are receiving healing. You are providing healing. Just breathe into that light. Just feel how good it feels to be connected. Immersed in the light, whole, healed, loved, cherished, perfect. Just marinate in that light. Swim in that light. We are all one in this light. Notice the light grid getting stronger, brighter. Glowing, expanding, strengthening, uniting. Feel yourself remembering who you are and why you came. Allow thoughts and messages to float to you, to pop into your mind, into your heart. Allow yourself to receive the wisdom of the light. Listen, receive, see the symbols, the images, the words, the knowing flowing into you. You are receiving, receiving, receiving answers, messages, guidance, gifts, healing, instructions. Clarity. Now that you have received your clarity, you are ready to bring all of that back with you as you slowly begin to return your bubble of light, floating it back down to earth, down towards your physical presence. You float, wiser now. You float down to the trees, past the trees, to the buildings, to your house, your apartment. And you float back down into your room, into your physical body, bringing all of the healing and wisdom back with you. Grateful, expanded, peaceful. Realigning with your body now, you begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, move about a bit, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes, remembering everything. And after you return to the awareness of your body, you can take a moment to maybe take some notes, write in your journal. You can share in the comments if you received any images or messages that you want to share with the group. Or you can just sit with yourself, or maybe even sign off and sit with yourself and reflect on all that you experience when you connected to the light grid. And I want to thank everybody for participating in this live meditation. I don't know how long it was, because once I start going, I sometimes not sure how long I'm going to take you on that trip. But hopefully you all have noticed a difference in how you feel after the meditation. So with the light grid, when you connect to the light grid, you can connect to expand your own light and heal yourself. You can also connect to help others. And so in this exercise, you had the opportunity to do either or both. Oh, Jose has a lot of info for me. Well, you can email me. My email is in my bio. Someone said I was sent to many, maybe I'll share some of your comments here. Primary feathers. I was sent to many places now, but also to the grid in the past and future. Lisa Lavender, I experienced the tail end. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm glad that you got something out of the end of it. Oh, someone said they dozed a bit. Some people tell me that when I leave meditations that sometimes they fall asleep, and maybe that's what you needed. Some people need to meditate. Some people need to rest, and oh, Mary Ann McCord is asking a question. What does it mean if I saw a teacher writing on a blackboard? So it means you were probably in spirit school. So, when we leave our bodies, usually at night, or you can do it in meditation, we can go to different realms, different planes of existence. And on one of those planes of existence, there's spirit school. And some of us go there at night. When I was a child, I used to go to spirit school. And so you may have been going there to meet your spirit teachers or to receive a lesson. It's just Jamie was sent to the grid over North Korea. Okay, good. And so, yeah, when there are conflicts or things going on in certain parts of the world, you can connect to the grid in that area to strengthen the light there. That's going to help the people there. Like this person, I slept through it. And sometimes that's what you have to do because you may be working through it with your subconscious. Marianne McCord. Oh, I already called on you, didn't I? I recognize this name. Thank you so much. So refreshing, grounding. I feel lighter. Oh, yes. I already did that one. I recognize the name and not the comment. Maybe because I don't have my glasses on. Put those back on. Okay. Golden Millie is trying to reach the Akashic records, and this will help. I have a class you can take on how to reach the Akashic records. It's on my website. I do have meditations in my YouTube channel, so you can go and find some of my recorded meditations. You can also see the recording of this live. It'll be on the live tab on my channel. And if you want to be notified whenever I go live, you got to hit that little bell. If you're following me, you got to hit the bell so it'll notify you every time I go live. This person said, the cat came up and sat next to me during the meditation. Cats know. Cats are really aware of energy. And so, a lot of them will come sit with you. Dogs too. Some dogs, it depends on what kind of dog. I mean, I've had some spiritual dogs. But yeah, animals in general are much more aware of energy than we are. This person is saying that the telepathy kids are talking about going to school at night when they sleep. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about spirit school. Yeah, I've listened to, I'm not caught up on it, but I listened to the first season and part of the second. I think there's 2 seasons, right? Yeah, so here's someone saying their dog used to. I had a dog who used to meditate with me. In fact, I always say he taught me how to meditate because we would get up early in the morning. When he was young, puppies have to go to the bathroom early in the morning. And so I would get up early to take him to the backyard to do his business. But even when he was older, he always wanted to get up and go in the backyard in the morning. And he would go out there and just sit and look at the butterflies. And so then I started just sitting with him and just looking at the butterflies or just looking at nothing. But yeah, he used to meditate with me. All right, so I'm going to talk more now. I want to talk more about the relationship between this type of work, working energetically, and working in the persistence. So I call it the persistence. Sometimes I'll say resistance. It's both, right? We're resisting our annihilation so we can persist. So that's one way to think about it. We're resisting turning into something that we don't want to be, right? Because there are forces trying to change us and change our country into something that we don't want. But persistence is about, how do we survive as our whole spiritual selves in the midst of an apocalypse, right? And I jokingly call what we're going through an apocalypse, but it just seems appropriate. It's like we need to recognize what we're going through. We need to take it. We need to be serious about it. And so I use a very serious word like the apocalypse to be serious, but also to be funny, a little bit of both, because we need both, right? We need to take seriously what's happening, but we also need to have some levity and be able to laugh. And so how do we fight what I call flashyism, right? So I use a lot of, you guys know, I use a lot of code words. And partially I use them because of, censorship, but also I use them because, I'm an artist, I'm a poet and a storyteller. And sometimes metaphor is helpful for us. Sometimes, we need art as a part of our activism. We need art as a part of our healing. We need art as a part of our ability to survive. We need art. And so, flashyism, that's what I call it. It's dramatic, it's dangerous, it's designed to make us think that we don't have any power. And so whenever we do this type of work where we're connecting to our higher self, connecting to our energetic bodies, connecting to the light grid on planet Earth, visualizing, going to the akashic records, connecting with our spirit guides. Anytime we're doing anything like that, connecting to our past lives, it's reminding us of how powerful we are. It's reminding us of who we are and how much more we are than this experience or this body. And anytime we can remember who we really are in our entirety, it's going to give us the strength to endure whatever we have to endure on the physical. And so that's why there are people like me. And then there are other people who are leaders in different ways, because some people need to be on the ground with the bullhorn and the map and guiding people and organizing people and giving people the courage to confront the Gestapo-shaped agents in front of them and to protect their neighbors and to protect all of these innocent people. There are people who that's their role. And then there are other people like myself whose role is to guide the people through spirit and story and words and energy. And so the task that I've been given by my guides is to tell stories and to teach about who we are and what the spiritual significance is of this political moment, and how each one of us can step fully into our sovereignty as spiritual beings in order to participate in the persistence, right? We each have a role to play. And so my guides have been giving me information about, how to remind people of how powerful we are, how to help everybody stay hopeful, how to help everybody reflect on ways that we can each contribute. How can we each resist in our own individual way? how can we each stand up and say, no, I don't agree with this. I'm not going to cooperate with this. There's so many ways to do that. So my guides have given me lots of different bits of advice, right? And if you've been following me for a while, you may recall that early on, one of the bits of advice they asked me to share with you all was that we all needed to create community where we were, right? Like in your neighborhood, people nearby. One of the things that they told me is that we should each have 4 people, right? 3 friends, 3 neighbors, 3 fellow co-workers, 3 parents from the PTA, 3 people from your knitting club or your book club or your walking club, right? That we should each have at least 4 people, that we're a group of 4. And some are going to have much bigger groups. But that we all need to find some people nearby for community, so that we're not alone, so that we don't feel lonely and powerless, but also because we're more powerful in groups, and a group of 4 is more powerful than a group of 1. And so in a more recent vision I got from my guides, they once again were talking about locality, and they were talking about how the direction that our country is going in is about people being more focused on the local and the state. And this is happening in part because that's the way the flashy attack is happening, right? We're experiencing attacks against cities, against states, right, by the circus. And of course, they're going after only blue cities and blue states. But what it's teaching us all is the importance of people having a sense of community, right? And that's what we're seeing in Minnesota, right? We're seeing people coming together as community for their town, right? And we're seeing that all over the country, people organizing in their town, in their city, in their state, in their neighborhood. And this is something that my guide said a long time ago, is that we want to start doing that. We want to start forming our groups, getting to know our neighbors, getting a sense of community, looking out for each other. Because if everybody is looking out for their neighbors, and every city is looking out for their city, and every state is looking out for their state, right? Then we will persist, right? We can't fight a circus, right? We can't fight a whole military, right? We can't go to war, right? That's not an option. We don't have a military, right? So the way that we persist is not that way, right? We have to find other creative ways. And so lots of creative ways are being found. And it's very inspiring, right? All of these creative ways. And so I'm always posting on my YouTube and on my TikTok about these different ways, either that other people are using or that my guides are talking about, and I'm just trying to share it with people. I pulled up my most recent vision. So this was from a couple days ago. I was talking to my guides, and one of the things I said, they were talking about all these fires, right? They were using the metaphor of fire as kind of a metaphor for what we're going through, and then how do people respond to it. And so they were talking about fire as a metaphor for transformation, and how we're in the middle of this transformative fire, that planet Earth is on fire, and the fire is a metaphor for transformation. And so I asked them, and I haven't shared this part yet, so I wanted to share some things tonight that I didn't share yet. I asked them when they were talking about, the planet being on fire and, our country being on fire. And I said, well, how long will these fires last, right? How long before the apocalypse is over? How long before the madness ends? I said, and I asked them, when will we get to the other side? What can I tell the people to give them hope? So when my guides are talking to me, they tell me a lot of things. And sometimes, it's like, well, I'm not going to share that, because sometimes they're just telling me stuff so that I understand. But I have to share the part of it that's helpful, right? That's going to actually help people strategize or help people have hope or help people understand the bigger picture. That's my job. And so I'm always sometimes ask them, okay, but I already know what people are going to ask me. When is this going to end, right? So this is what I want to know. I need to tell the people. And so when I asked that question, the answer I got was everybody has to get up. Everybody has to get up off their tuchus. If everyone doesn't get up, then the fires have to continue until everybody gets up. Everybody has to get up. People have to stop being so comfortable, thinking it's not going to affect them. People have to get up. Some people are going to save other people. Some people are just going to flee. Some people are going to save. So then there was this whole thing about how everyone's going to respond to this metaphorical fire. Some people are going to form neighborhood brigades of water. And they talked about the importance of art and the importance of a spiritual approach. There's just all of these different ways that we can fight the fire, right? The flashyism. And then they talked about us. I did share this last time, making music together. And that the purpose of that image was demonstrating how we have to all be unified, right? We have to find ways to come together and work together. And so the light grid is kind of the ultimate example of unity, right? How all of our lights are connected in a grid so that the way my energy flows affects the energy of everyone else in the grid, right? We're all connected. And the light grid is just like a very good visualization of that interconnectedness of all beings. And we have to get in sync. That's what we're being called upon to do right now, is to get into sync, right? And there's different ways to do that. But anytime you work together with others, right, whether it's just your neighborhood group or your a group in the city or the state, whatever group you're working with, it allows people to kind of get aligned, right? Get on the same page, focus their energy in the same direction, combine their forces, right? And so that's what they were showing with the, I'm gonna bring out I think I talked about this in one of my other videos where they showed me this image of people walking around and everyone was playing like two sticks together, but together, right? With the same rhythm. And how once everybody was playing the same rhythm at the same time, how the energy, the vibration from that sound, from that music was so powerful that nobody could defeat those people. And so that's where we're at, where we've got a little bit more crazy, right? We've got people being unalived on film in front of hundreds in order for people to recognize that it's time to get up, right? And so one of the other things that they showed me was how it was important now for us to start doing ceremonies. And they showed me all of these hilltops and people gathering on hilltops in towns and villages and cities throughout the country, energetically gathering. And this this was connected to the light grid, because it's like if everybody is gathering on these nodes, right, these physical nodes, right, these little hills, and concentrating their energy in a ceremony. Anytime you do a ceremony, you're sending light up, and you're aligning the energy of the area. You're helping to align the energy of the people in the ceremony. They're all coming together. Their energy is all being aligned in the ceremony. And so they were showing us all doing these ceremonies. And so right now we're kind of doing a type of ceremony where people are going out into the street and blowing their whistles and protecting people and confronting people. And, you can think of that as a ceremony too. The political activism is a type of ceremony. But we can also, those of us who are kind of more focused on the spiritual, because that's our path, and we all have different paths, but some of us, that's our path, is to be focused on healing and spiritual work and energy work. We also have a role to play, and so we can begin to gather. We can begin to have ceremonies on hills or on beaches or in waterways. Water is very powerful for ceremony. It helps to move the light. But we can begin to do that, and just gather, because everybody isn't cut out for confrontation, right? That's one way. There's different ways. Some people are meant to make music or art. Some people are meant to write. Some people are meant to be behind the scenes, cooking the meals for the activists, and I think we should call them protectors. When we were at Standing Rock, people were called water protectors. And I've heard recently that people in Minnesota are calling themselves people protectors or something like that. Someone correct me in the comments of what the language is. But I thought, oh, that's exactly right. Because this is really what it is, right? It's about us protecting each other. And so how do you do that, right? There's different ways to do that. I saw this sign, or maybe it was a meme. I forget where I saw it, where someone said, "I'm protesting because it's easier than hiding somebody in my attic." And I thought that did such a good job of giving us a lens into the seriousness of this, right? Is we can decide whether we're going to participate in the persistence now, or whether we're going to be forced to participate in it later. All right? But we're all going to participate in it one way or the other. And so it's up to us to figure out, okay, what's my way of participating? What do I have to offer? What is it that I can offer? How can I protect the people who are being harmed? How can I protect the people who are next on the list? What can I do? Right. And this is why we had to witness the unaliving of these two people, right? Renee and Alex. Because there were some people that had to see that to wake up and to say, okay, I got to get involved, right? And so that's what my guides are saying. Everybody has to get off their behind and do something, right? And until everybody gets involved, we're going to keep having to deal with these dramatic events, right? So let me look at the comments and see what people are saying. Someone said there's ads that are going on in the lives. I don't know anything about that. But if someone else in here said it has to do with what kind of account you have, I don't see them, and I didn't enable them as far as I know. So I don't, but I'll check after the live to see if there's something I can do about that. Okay, so that's a YouTube thing. I don't really know how that works. Okay, this person said, I have a beautiful African drum, and yes, it's calling for a hilltop now. Alex's name means to defend or protect. He was protecting a woman when he passed. When I figured that out, I started crying. Yes, he was a telepathic echo. He was trying to protect a woman who was being mistreated. And I think he was videotaping it, but he was also, I think, trying to pick her up off the ground. They had knocked her down, and he was trying to pick her up. And that's when they attacked him. And so, yeah, you can see how his soul, played this role. You can see how his soul probably chose this role. And the same with Renee. She was there also as a legal observer trying to protect her neighbors. Right? So these are protectors. Okay. All right. So I'm just looking at the comments to see if there's any questions for me. But I think it's more of a conversation. It is possible. I guess people, if you have one kind of account, you get ads. If you have the other kind, you don't. And that's probably one of the ways that I make money on this platform. So I don't exactly know how it works, but I get paid on this platform. And that has made a big difference for me, because for the first year that I was doing this work, I was mostly on TikTok, and I was not allowed to make money on TikTok because of my, because they kind of target people with political content and brown people. And so I've been doing this work for like 14 months now. And for most of those 14 months, I was not receiving anything for it. And as a result, I was struggling to kind of work enough hours at my income generating work and still spend hours a day on this. And so if there are ads, it's probably contributing to the fund that allows me to make some money on this so that I can keep doing it. So I'm sorry about any ads that are disrupting. I don't have control over that, but I probably benefit to some extent from it, which allows me to keep doing the work. So I hope that helps. And these gifts are also really helpful. Thank you so much for Tati Gem for your super sticker. And thank you so much, Moon Beatification, for your gift as well. And I want to thank everybody who follows, who's a member, who sends me these gifts, and just for enduring the ads. You're helping me out. Thank you for everyone who's just a part of this community. Because it's helping all of us, I think, to be able to have this online community. We need unity in whatever way we can. And so, I have my local community that I work with, and then I have this wonderful online community. And, I started interacting in this way November 6th of 2024. And I feel like it's been really important to my sanity and the sanity of everyone that I know in this community for us to be able to come together on a regular basis in these lives and in the comment section of my videos, and just to be able to kind of know that we're here for each other, right? So thank you to everybody, and thank you if you've bought me a cup of coffee. A lot of people bought me a cup of coffee, which is also really helpful. Okay, did I miss any of these? Okay, I already got yours. Okay. So I just want to see if there's any more questions. And let me get back to let's see. I was going through the notes from my spirit guide, and I just wanted to share some more about it. So one of the things that they showed me were all of these bright rainbow lights going off in every direction from the center of the earth. And they said, this is what the future of the earth looks like. It's glowing in multiple colors that are going out in every direction. And this is what happens when all the people rise up and unify. And we have this future of rainbows. And so then I asked them, well, how much longer do we have to wait for this beautiful rainbow future? And they said 2025. And I was like, sorry, not 2025. 5 years, 2030, when we're entering into this different level of consciousness. And is it 5 years? 4 years. I'm trying to read my notes. But they said the next 4 years is all about transformation, just nonstop transformation. Like we're not really going to get a break from change, transformation for the next 4 years. And some of that change looks like fighting and, conflict and resistance and protection. But they're not saying we're going to deal with that for 4 years. They're saying that there's going to be rapid change for the next 4 years. That's a part of it. This is the part that we're in right now. We're in the difficult part of the change. We're in the part where people are having to wake up and stand up and assert their sovereignty and make sure that we don't head in the wrong direction, right? We're at that part of it. But that's just the beginning of this kind of 4 years of transformation, rapid change. Because for some people, they said, it's the only way. They said not just some, but for a lot of people, the only way for them to rise up is to go through something like this. And this is this should be pretty clear to us, right? Like we look at the example we had. It's been a year. There have been a lot of people who've been suffering, who've been kidnapped, who've been brutalized, who've been put in inhumane detention centers. Some of them have been tortured in El Salvador and other places. We have women who've been SA'd in detention. We have children who've been locked up away from their parents. We've had people who've perished. I think it's been documented 40 people. There's probably a lot of people undocumented, whose unaliving was not documented. Those are the ones we know of. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They fired like all of the Black women working for the federal government. And so if you were a Black woman working for the federal government, you were someone who was highly educated, who worked very, very hard to get to that position where you would have security and benefits and be able to take care of your family. And they all lost their jobs, hundreds. Was it hundreds or thousands? I can't remember, but it was, they pretty much, and then they did that with the networks too. They fired all the Black women. And so those firings are affecting whole communities. We've had, we've had whole departments canceled, right? So all of the people that were working in certain departments in the government lost their jobs and all their families, right? And their communities were impacted. Department of Education, right? FBI. So we have discontinued USAID, which people who are experts have said is going to lead to the death of millions. We have participated in G-side, in the land of milk and honey, where untold numbers have perished. So a lot has happened. We have seen the loss of our basic constitutional rights. We've seen the loss of the freedom of the press, right? We now have state-sponsored propaganda. And yet there were many people for whom that was not enough for them to get up and fight, right? And it wasn't until they saw the unaliving this last couple of weeks of Renee and Alex that they said, oh, that's a line too far. So that's what my guys were talking about. They were saying a lot of people need to see really dramatic, terrible things before they realize, okay, no, this is go time. This is go time. And for some people, it was that. For other people, it was the epi files. There were a lot of people who defected from the circus and the Magatonian camp because of the files. That for them was their wake-up call. And so what the guides were saying was, most people need to go through things, dramatic things, before they're willing to be uncomfortable enough to interrupt their routine, to actually go out and do something to stop this, right? Someone just asked me to mention my buy me a coffee. I think they flipped the image. And so I think when I point at it, like right now, it looks like I'm pointing at it. But then when I looked at the replay later, it was pointing the other way. So I don't know. And so what the guides were saying is, this is why we have to go through this quote unquote fire, because so many people, everyone has what is the thing that's going to get them, right? What is the dramatic, terrible thing that's going to get them to say, okay, this is too much. I gotta stand up and speak, right? So now we have like some red hats who are actually red hat leaders who are actually saying, we got to stop the Frozen crew, because now they're just randomly unaliving citizens of a particular hue. Like, it's gone too far, right? And then there were other people who thought the files were too far, and Venezuela, for some people, that was the really dramatic thing. Now we're talking about Greenland and invading our allies, right? Iran, right? So what is it going to be? What is it going to take, right? So what is it going to take? We all have something, right, that it's going to take. Before they're like, okay, I got to interrupt my life and do something, or I got to do more, right? Because some people are like, yeah, I make a call every few weeks, right? Or I go to a protest every few weeks, right? But some people are, getting a lot more involved now. Yeah, okay. Also, some of these podcasters are over it too. Yeah, we're having a lot of people who are like, okay, this is it. This is a bridge too far. And it's going to be different for all of us. I mean, a lot of you who are, in my channel, in my lives, a lot of you are what my guides call, what they call you all, like crystal people, right? You already knew. You've been knowing, right? So the crystal people have been risen up and aware for quite some time. They've been trying to help people to rise up. But one of the ways that the crystals are activating people is through fire. When you concentrate the sun's energy into a crystal, you can create a fire. This is some of what's happening. And so again, these are metaphors. Spirits like to talk in metaphors. and then our job is to, how do I hide that? Our job is to There we go. Interpret it. So a lot of you are crystal people, right? You're people who, you're already awake, you're already aware, you're already tuned in to the bigger picture. And then you have a lot of people around you, friends, family, coworkers who aren't there yet. And so some of what our role is as crystals is to kind of concentrate the light, so that people can become more aware of it. And a fire is another way to concentrate the light. So like, we can think of Renee and Alex as crystals who, they concentrated the light so that everybody could see what's happening. Like we needed their example. We needed to see this really obvious videotaped executive solution, right? We needed to see that from multiple angles with all of the horror of it, right? And just the sadness and the tragedy of it, and to know that like her children now don't have a mother, and to know that his parents, who were so proud of him for living a life of service, they had to sacrifice their son. And so they were these crystals, right, that concentrated the light and the awareness in a way that looked to us like a fire, right, like something terrible and tragic. But this is what a lot of people need right now, to wake up and to kind of recognize the seriousness of the situation. And so all of us have to figure out, how are we going to be a crystal, right? How is, what is your role? What's your crystal role, right? What are you doing with your gifts to help persist against this flashyism? What are you doing, right? This is what we all have to ask ourselves. I started out, 14 months ago, and I was doing this every day. I was coming online every day and trying to help people navigate this situation and understand it and provide people with hope and ideas. And then over time, when that guy started saying, oh, you have to work locally, I was like, okay, I can't just work with this global internet community. I have to work locally. And so I started working with a local organization. And then I started doing medic work because I'm a healer. So I was like, what can I do? It's not really going to be a good idea for me to be on the front lines because I'm going to be a target because of my skin color. And so my guides were very clear that I'm not allowed to sacrifice myself. That's not my role in this situation. And so I was like, well, I could do medicing because I'll be in a tent. And so I won't be, in a confrontational situation. And I can be there to help the people who are on the front line. So I can help them with their injuries. That was the appropriate thing for me, right? And I can help by making phone calls and writing letters. And I also do organizing, but I'm not on the front lines. I'm more the idea person. I'm helping to organize. So we can all figure things out. We can all figure out, okay, how can I be a crystal? And then, of course, I also do light work, healing work. All of my online work is healing work. So we all have to figure that out. Like, how can we each be that crystal that uses what we do know, right? Whatever energy or wisdom we have, and then takes that and expresses it in the physical world. Because we're not just energetic beings, we're physical beings. And so we can't just work in the energy. We can't just work in other realms. We have to work in the physical because the threat is physical, right? People are actually losing their lives. People are actually being injured. People are actually going without food. Their physical existence is being threatened, not just their spiritual. So we have to also figure out, can I give some money to a food bank? Can I give some canned goods? Can I just go volunteer at the food bank for a couple of hours and just give my labor if you don't have the money. I mean, that's what I've done. I've volunteered at food banks. I've done lots of there's just lots of different things that we can all do, right? There's no one thing that we should all be doing. Okay, here's a beautiful text, a beautiful message from Patricia Magoffin. I'm 81 and I've done what I can and continue to get more ideas all the time about how I could serve. And as an empath, I am always vibrating light and love and sending it out. And so like someone like Patricia, this is somebody who has wisdom because they've been doing this for years. And so people should be consulting them, right? Like Patricia could be advising people how to do things, right? She's been there, she's done it, right? There's a lot of people out there who are of a certain age where they have spent years engaged in community work or activism or spiritual healing, and they are fonts of knowledge and they could be informing the movement. We all have a role to play. Let me see what else you all are saying. Oh, here's someone's giving an example of the SAVE Act, which is going to make it harder for women to vote, that might heighten more awareness among red hat women. Really the women are way ahead of the men, right? If you haven't noticed. We have the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the matriarchy, the fall of the patriarchy is going on. It's been going on for a few years. And so we've got the 4B movement. They just put out some stats this week about how the childbirth rate has gone way down in the United States. And this is because women are refusing to reproduce with men because they're just like, no more. This has to stop. All of the patriarchal violence and the oppression. These movements in Minnesota, it's being led by women. A lot of the stuff that's going on is being led by women, and it's being led and it's being co-led, right? It's not being led by like some charismatic woman who's telling everybody what to do. No, it's being led by women working together with other women. And so what we, this is very encouraging, right? This is very encouraging that so many women are stepping into leadership roles after being raised to believe that men are supposed to be in charge, right? We have a country that is run by men. We have a Congress that is, predominantly men. All of our corporations are run by men. Men control almost everything in this country. And yet women are standing up and getting into leadership roles and finding ways to express their sovereignty. And one of the ways they're expressing is by saying, I'm not going to sleep with these men. I'm not going to marry these men. I'm not going to reproduce with these men until they start treating women better. Right. And so I'm very hopeful for the women. And the thing about a matriarchy is that under a matriarchy, all the genders do well. Everybody does better. Okay, so let me see if there's any more questions I need to answer or comments to share. Yeah, same with churches, right? It's almost all male. So this all needs to change, right? Because this is really unhealthy. It's really unhealthy. Thank you, Regolio, for your super sticker. I appreciate it. This is funny. 15th in Oxford. Oh, here's something that Yaya is doing to help people. Telling my community how to protect their privacy digitally when protesting. I love that. Oh, this is funny, Andrea. Yesterday, while watching your channel, the movie A Wrinkle in Time started playing unprompted. Watch Taking It for a Message from Above. It's a children's movie about love overcoming darkness. I remember loving that story when I was a child. Um, uh, there's all these conversations okay. Oh, I didn't hear about this. So they took the paper from, yeah, they're just such cheaters. They're just such cheaters. They're trying to, I'm going to talk more about it in the future, the upcoming joust. People are pinning too many hopes on the upcoming joust. This circus does not want us to have a joust, and they're going to do everything they can to either finagle it like they did the last couple times, or other things like what they're doing here, trying to get voter ID information and Social Security and driver's license and voting data, right? This, they're trying to finagle. Yeah. So I'm going to highlight this comment because it matches what my guides have said. People need to be willing to start making real sacrifices now. And it's not easy, right? Like nobody wants to make sacrifices, especially when we're already suffering, right? That's the thing. A lot of us are emotionally suffering, right? We're struggling emotionally with watching the collapse of our country, right? We're being horrified, right, on a daily basis with the rights that we're losing, the institutions that are going away, the violence that's being perpetrated in our name that we don't seem to be able to have a say in. We're anguished about the fact that the people that we elected are not doing anything. Either they're not doing anything or they're not allowed to do anything. The courts that are supposed to protect us, totally rigged now, right? The Supreme Court, allegedly. Oh, I forgot to say, this whole live is for entertainment purposes only. And everything is allegedly. I forgot my little sign. I'm supposed to hold up my little sign. I got to make a new one. I misplaced mine. So, right, we're going through a lot emotionally. And so when we're going through something emotionally, then it's hard for us to then give up stuff, right? Because what do we do when we're emotionally distraught? We want comfort, right? We start eating comfort food and engaging in comfort activities and, watching our favorite shows and drinking things with alcohol or smoking our doobie, whatever it is that you do when you're stressed that you probably shouldn't do, right? We start doing things to comfort ourselves when we are stressed out. And so then when someone comes along and says, oh, you need to sacrifice, you need to take some of that money that you've been devoting to your leisure activities and give that to a food bank, or, donate it to Minnesota, or, whatever, and maybe cut back on some of your luxuries. There are a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want to do that because I'm really stressed out. I need that stuff. I'm really stressed out. So, and if you're really stressed out, then you might feel like, well, I don't want to go engage in any persistence activities. I'm too stressed out. I just want to go home and get in my bed and eat my pizza and right. But here's the thing. Participating in community and standing up and fighting actually makes us feel better. It actually gets those endorphins going. It actually relieves depression. It actually helps balance out our cortisol. Actually being in community and actually doing something that makes you feel powerful actually makes us feel better. And so when we think of sacrifice, well, maybe you have to sacrifice some of your free time or some of your leisure time to go be out on the streets or to go be making phone calls or to go be volunteering at your local food bank. It may feel at first, oh, this is a sacrifice. I'm sacrificing my free time, my leisure time. But it's also, you're also saving yourself when you stand up for what's right. You're also helping yourself. But we really do have to kind of start to reconfigure our lives. And that's the challenge, right? We can't just keep living our lives as if nothing is happening. We can't just keep going to work and coming home and turning on the TV and going on social media and whatever, right? We have to interrupt our lives because our lives are being interrupted. But now we have to kind of consciously interrupt our schedules and change our schedules. We have to start putting it into our schedule. Okay, what am I going to do every day or every other day to contribute to the persistence? What am I going to do? Let me put that in my schedule, right? What am I doing? So people in the comments are talking about some local aid networks. I don't know where locally you are, but that's great. Now, I don't know if this question is for me or someone else. So what I did when they first came here in large numbers with the National Guard and everything. They came here first, right? They came to LA first. We were the proving ground for this nonsense. In June, I was organizing with some organizations. I was doing medic supply drops at Ground Zero in downtown LA and offering medicing. And then I started doing more of it in Long Beach, where I am, because it was really violent downtown. And my guides were really clear that I needed to make sure that I didn't get hurt. So I had to then do medic organizing and supply work more locally. So that's what I did. I don't know if that question was for me. But there's something we can do. Right. Some people are, there are so many different things that people are doing. And yeah, we have to take care of ourselves too. So we do have to engage in some self-care activities. We may have to take some more baths. We may have to, light some more candles and incense and play some more music and just love on each other more. Right. Okay, here's someone giving a testimony. Shannon Davis, my partner and I just spent a lot of money helping local aid networks in Minnesota, and to our niece who is helping a family in her building that are afraid to leave their apartment. That's wonderful, Shannon. I would love to hear more stories like this. I've been doing this in my posts. I've been asking people and in my comments, in my videos to share what they're doing so we can all be inspired, because there's so many things that we can do. Yeah, and let's listen to Amanda Jinja. Some days are better than others. Yesterday, I felt paralyzed with upset and fear. Today, I'm good. I'm hoping for a miracle tomorrow. Yeah, we have good days and bad, so we can't always be at our best. But I do find that whenever I get really down about what's happening, if I find something to do, I feel better. So like right now, I work. One of the organizations I work with locally is Indivisible, and they're now having these Whistlemania events like every week. I went to one last week where you just go and help them put together these whistle packets that we're passing out, and they're passing out 16,000 just in my area, so that everybody. In fact, I'm wearing one now because I was outside today. Whenever I go outside, I wear my whistle. And this is so if you ever see the frozen water, you can alert people. And so like, that's something that's easy to do. It doesn't require me to put myself in danger. But when I went to the last event, there were like 100 people there. And I brought two friends, and it was such a wonderful feeling of community and of like of being useful, right? Oh, I'm doing something to help. And anytime I involve myself in anything, whether it's a protest or a phone call or putting a whistle in a bag, whatever, it makes me feel hopeful, you know, makes me feel more hopeful. Okay, here's a question from Dr. Domenico. Love your glass. I love your picture. That's a good picture. Have you guys said anything about the ETA's effort? I just signed up to volunteer. Oh, that's wonderful that you're volunteering for them, Doctor. Well, what my guide said at the beginning was that the truth was going to come out. For those who don't know, ETA is, can I say that word? Hopefully I can. Election Truth Alliance. And what they've been doing, they're like data scientists, statisticians, I think. And they've been going through all of the joust numbers for all the tickets that were put in and identifying irregularities and then filing lawsuits to have recounts done in different districts in different states throughout the country. Their work is really important. I have also donated to them. I think I would love to. I love the idea of volunteering with them. I'm too, I think, overtaxed right now with too many other things I'm doing, but I think that's a great thing to do. So what all I haven't gotten anything specifically about the ETA. I've just gotten that the truth is going to come out. And I think it's because of the ETA and smart elections and people like that it's going to come out. And so I think it's important for people to support those organizations. If the doctor who just put that comment can you put a link in the comments? Is that possible? I don't even know. If you can you put that in the comments? If you have the link for where people can donate to them or volunteer, I'm guessing you're probably a statistician or some type of highly educated person. You're a doctor, so you're probably a PhD like me, who's bringing your knowledge to that organization. But who knows? Maybe they need all kinds of people. Maybe they don't just need scholars. Okay. And let's see. Let me go where it's almost 2 hours, so I usually try not to go past 2 hours. But if you didn't hear this from my last video, one of the things my guide said also is that we are going to have the abolishment of the popsicle gang this year. Now I got that message from them before I heard yesterday that there's now a bill in Congress to abolish it and to retroactively defund it. So I'm feeling very hopeful about that. It may take the whole year. I don't know how long it's going to take, but they said it was going to happen this year. And I just want to remind you, I'm just looking at the notes from my guides. They want us, the circus wants us operating at the lowest vibration, at the lowest chakra. They want us to be focused on survival, eating, sleeping, not getting unalived. They want us at that level, right? And so they said one of the things that's important for us to do is to engage in creative work, to raise our energy. So when you're dealing with feelings of fear, of survival, losing your way of life, try to engage in something creative, anything creative, drawing, writing, knitting, anything at all that you can do that's creative. And then I just want to remind you that we got to find whatever way we can find to keep ourselves out of hopelessness and despair, because this circus feeds off of that low vibration emotion. They literally feed off of it. And so they are purposely trying to terrorize and create and instill fear because it gives them power. So we have to do whatever we can. That's why we got to dance and sing and make art and make love and be in community and and spend time with people. We have to find ways to pull ourselves out of that fear and despair. And I want to say one more thing about fear. Today, I saw a video, I think it was on TikTok, by a woman who was palm colored, and she gave like a 10-minute talk about the importance of people getting out of their comfort zone and getting out there and doing something. She was basically saying the same thing my guides were. But she talked about it in terms of what she called objective fear and subjective fear. I can't remember her name because I should give her credit for this, but I'll have to, I didn't write her name down. But I thought it was really interesting. She said that there are people who have objective fear because their lives are actually in danger, right? So like, you know, they're an immigrant, or they're somebody who's, you know, a person of color or queer, and they have to actually worry about being targeted, like it's a real threat. And then there are other people who are not actually in harm's way, but they have subjective fear. And their fear, she said, their fear is that they're going to experience what other people are experiencing. So what they've seen on TV or what they've seen, right? Oh, that's going to happen to me. And she was talking about it specifically from her position as a palm colored woman. She wanted to speak about this from her position for other palm colored people. So, you know, it's not going to sound the same coming from me. But I just thought it was really interesting that she said that she was really urging people who don't have real objective fear, like Frozen Crew is not actually going to come to your house, right? That's not actually going to happen to you. That those people should be doing more, or should be putting themselves at greater risk, or like more in the front lines than the people who are actually already at risk, right? It might sound totally just like common sense to some people, but I don't think it is, because I think that when people have fear, they're not always able to really rationally think about whether or not they're truly in danger, right? I mean, that's the thing about certain emotions. They can be irrational, right? You know, like the other day, the police came to my door and they were banging loudly and yelling, "Police." And I was legitimately afraid, you know, that it was Frozen Crew. And not because I'm an immigrant, I'm not. But it doesn't matter. I just look the way I look, right? You don't have to be. You just have to look a certain way. And so I had objective fear, like that really could have been what it was, but it wasn't. Thank God. I'm, you know, very fortunate. But when you have fear, you can't always tell, you know, should I really, you know, do I really have a reason to be afraid, or am I just kind of responding, right, to someone else's suffering? But anyway, I thought that was a really interesting thing to think about. And so it's something I think we should all think about when we're kind of assessing how much risk can you put yourself in? How much risk are you really at? And then act accordingly, right? You know, like I go to dance parties, but I'm very careful about where I position my body, right? And when there are police or anyone shows up like that, I'm very quick to, you know, exit, because I know I've been a victim of police brutality. I've been profiled throughout my life. I know it's dangerous for me to be next to people in blue or people wearing fatigues pretending to be toy soldiers. So I'm strategic, right? And then there are other people that I work with who are like at the front, right? Because they know that they're not in the same amount of danger, right? So this is something we all have to figure out for ourselves. Like, you know, what is your actual risk? What is your fear actually about? Is it objective? Is it subjective? And then how can you then position yourself to be the most effective force for good in the middle of this, right, apocalypse? that we're in. Okay, so thank you, everybody. And I always forget to promote things. So I have a new course out called Strategic Psychic. It's an on-demand course, which means it's pre-recorded. So I recorded all these videos of me teaching you how to be psychic, how to get in touch with your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, how to do exercises. And it's available on my website. It's also, I have a post on YouTube in my post section with a link where you can sign up. It's very inexpensive. It's only $59. So far, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people. People do really like my classes. I've been told that for many, many years, that people like my teaching style. They find it very accessible. I'm also very comprehensive as well. I provide a lot of information for a small amount of money in that course. So thought I'd mention that if you're interested in developing your gifts, or you have gifts, but you haven't really taken them that seriously yet. Sometimes just taking a class and doing exercises and practicing can really help those gifts to unfold. So I used to teach psychic development, in person every Wednesday night for years in Long Beach, and I really miss it. And so I developed this course to kind of put the information that I used to teach in that class into, a format where anybody anywhere in the world can access it. And so that's my newest course. And then, you can join my channel as a member. I do like behind the scenes videos about once a week. And then I sometimes will release a new video to my members first, and then everyone else has to wait. So if you want to get the videos sooner, that's something I'm starting to do. And what else? And it's a really low rate. I don't remember what the membership costs, but it's pretty low. I think it's like less than $10. And then I have a Patreon account. That's another way you can support me for my Patreon membership, where I also post behind the scene videos, or you can buy me a cup of coffee. But just your being here is a support, because it's encouraging me to keep doing this work, and your comments are encouraging me to keep up this work, and letting me know that I'm doing what my guides want me to do. And so whenever you write a comment and say, oh, this is helping me, or I was inspired because of you to go and do these good things, anytime you do that, that's just giving me confirmation that I'm on the path I'm supposed to be on. And by the same token, if you're unhappy with something that I'm doing and you tell me, I'm going to take that to heart as well. I take those kind of things very seriously. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I hope you enjoyed the meditation. You can always replay this video, just the first part of it, and do the meditation again, because the recording will be on my live tab in my channel. I'll see you next time. I am here every Thursday. And then or otherwise I'll see you in the comments of my other posts. All right. Good night. Take care.